So let's talk a little bit about Fani Willis, the woman who is leading the prosecution against Donald Trump in Georgia.
Yeah, her situation's getting a little complicated. You know, when you have, what is it Facebook that used to have the thing with your relationship status and it's complicated? That's kind of where it is with Fani. She, of course, is going after Trump on 947 zillion charges. And her approach has been sort of hit pretty hard by the legal community, saying she's overreaching here. But it also seems like the type of thing that they could get Donald Trump on, because you're going to a jury that's not going to be friendly, and they are trying to blow this into the biggest case of all time, widely expansive. So everyone knows that part, I guess. But when you get to this part where you get Fani Willis, who hires someone and there's a friendship there, I guess, is the way she's trying to describe it. Now, look, friends with benefits are the charges, I guess.
Very strong benefits.
Very strong benefits.
Benefits that just she's screaming, benefits, at the top of her lung, and her neighbors can hear.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, at least that's the allegedly.
Yes. They're probably just friends.
Right.
Platonic.
And so this kind of comes out, and a bunch of it has come out, in different ways, but one part of it comes out in a divorce proceeding. The guy that she's supposedly having an affair with, she's accused of having this affair in the divorce proceeding. And at the same time, people notice, hey, he was hired by Fani Willis and paid over $600,000 in fees to work this case, Isn't it like all of the other experts in his role are being paid like a third of that? He's being way overpaid. The example I know, because her first reaction to this was, I pay all of them equally. Then it came out that actually he was making, I think, $250 an hour. And the guy who actually wrote the statute that they're using to go after Trump is getting paid $150 an hour.
Right.
Which, it seems like he might be the real expert here.
Right, yeah.
So this is sort of dissolved now, and it's interesting to see her reaction to it, because she immediately jumped to, I'm going to a black church to give a speech about racism against black women, who you can't say should be perfect. Black women shouldn't be perfect. You can't hold them to this high standard. It's unfair to call them perfect. Like, no one's asking you to be perfect. We would like you to, follow the law.
Not be corrupt.
And not be corrupt.
Yeah, you're having an affair. Fine. Okay. I don't recommend it. Not a great idea, but it's not against the law. Hiring this guy and putting him on payroll, paying him more than the other experts, putting him on payroll and not going through the proper channels to make sure he's vetted for that job, that is a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And what we've told you here is what's been reported. It's interesting, though. It's hard at sometimes in these cases to know what's true, right? You're talking about something behind bedroom doors, and this stuff will come out over time. What I think is fascinating, though, is her reaction has been so bizarre and defensive immediately. It's as if she knew these charges were going to be coming. She had prepared a defense. She was ready to roll out the PR response to it. And honestly, it's been, if she's as bad at that as she is at investigating cases, this is going to be a catastrophe, and it makes you almost optimistic for Donald Trump's future.
So, Stu, if I say that you are obstructing and interfering with an ongoing criminal prosecution, if I tell you that, does that bother you?
Well, I would certainly hope I was. It wouldn't bother me legally, but I would be very bothered by it, sure.
Yeah, and you'd be like, I got to check out what I'm doing, right?
Right, sure.
But if the attorney general or the district attorney came in and said, Stu, you are obstructing and interfering with an ongoing criminal prosecution, would that bother you?
Yes, very, very much so.
Why?
Well, I'd be worried I was breaking the law, that I was going to be thrown in prison, that I was going to be charged with something.
Yes, because the person saying it to you is the person who can charge you with it.
Right, they have the power.
So it's a threat. It's either informative, stop doing it, or a threat.
Sure.
She just came out and said Jocelyn Wade, who is married to the guy she's allegedly sleeping with, is using the legal process to harass and embarrass me, and in doing so is obstructing and interfering with an ongoing criminal prosecution. So she's saying by her bringing this up, She is interfering with this grand prosecution of the former president of the United States. You know what? Make that charge. Don't just say it. Make the charge. And that's what Jocelyn should say. Go ahead. Charge me with obstruction. Do it. Do it.
She's not allowed to put what she believes the facts are of her marriage and her divorce paperwork. Like that. That's how she's getting in the way of this. I mean, what's the accusation that like this?
She's a secret MAGA supporter?
Right. A big time MAGA person who's just like, I just got to get the president on. I mean, this is, again, we get into these conspiracy theories all the time, and that's how this should be treated, as a conspiracy theory. But I mean, the idea that this woman is putting this in here to, I mean, you could see a situation where she's trying to get back at Fani Willis because she's sleeping with her husband, right?
Oh,
like, certainly you could see that type of situation playing out.
I'm not saying she's Nell, looking for the Canadian Mountie. Oh, I'm innocent. I'm tied to the tracks. I'm not saying that.
Right.
She's a scorned woman. So, but she has a right to say these things in her in her divorce trial. And it makes a difference.
Some way she's probably required to, right? I mean, she's supposed to tell the truth. If this is happening and it actually did occur as alleged, then she's supposed to put it in the paperwork, right? If it's important to the trial, people need to know.